Hello boys, welcome back to another session of video tutorials, and this session is meant for class 12th biology students, and this is meant for 26 September 2020, and we are with the revision and we are revising chapter number 2, chapter number 3, that is human reproduction, human health and reproduction. In that yesterday we were talking about the spermatogenesis as well as oogenesis. And today we'll be talking about the menstrual cycle. The reproductive cycles in female primates is called menstrual cycle. It starts at puberty and menarche. It's called menarche. Okay, the puberty in female is menarche. So menarche is the period at which the menstruation starts in a female, and menopause is the end of it, end of the biological maturity. And there are mainly 4 phases in the menstrual cycle. So there will be a series of cyclic changes in the female when the process of menstruation starts. So the menstrual cycle consists of the following 4 phases. Totally it's around say 28 days roughly. Yes. So first one is menstrual phase. In a 28 days menstrual cycle, remember, sometimes in your NEET exam also this will be there. The total duration of the menstrual cycle is 28 days, 29 days, 27 days, like that. So the menses take place on cyclic days roughly, okay, 3 to 5, because that depends on the hormonal secretion in a female, the local habitat, and then the lifestyle, the stress levels, all these matter in this. But then on an average we say that period of menstruation is 3 to 5 days. And the production of luteinizing hormone LH from the anterior lobe of the pituitary gland is reduced. So the first sign is reduction in LH. The withdrawal of this hormone causes degeneration of corpus luteum. Remember, the oogenesis, corpus luteum is formed and the functional ovum starts coming out. So what happens to that corpus luteum? That gets degenerated because of the low LH levels, and therefore progesterone production is also reduced. So LH reduced, progesterone reduced. Production of estrogen is also reduced. So estrogen reduced, progesterone reduced, LH reduced. Corpus luteum start degenerated. The endometrium of uterus, means inner wall of uterus, is called endometrium, breaks down and menstruation begins. The cells of the endometrium secretions, blood, unfertilized ovum constitute the menstrual flow. What does this menstrual flow consist of? First and foremost is unfertilized ovum, because as I said, the ovum starts traveling and it waits in the fallopian tube, I said, for the sperm to come so that fertilization takes place. So in anticipation of the incoming sperm, the ovum waits there, and there is a junction, we said, isthmus junction, ampullary isthmus junction. So that place, that junction, the ovum, functional ovum, waits for the sperm. And if there is no sperm entry during that period of say 48 hours or so, the unfertilized ovum comes out of it. So when unfertilized ovum along with the fallopian tube, uterus, vulva, vagina comes out of it, and along with that unfertilized, there will be endometrium secretions, breakage of the cell walls, broken tissues, and blood. So all these constitute menstrual flow. So this is the first phase. And then next, once the unfertilized ovum comes off, next is follicular phase. This phase usually includes cycle days 6 to 13, because remember that menstrual phase 3 to 5. Next 6 to 13 or 14, either 6 to 13 or 14 in a 28 day cycle. What happens during this time? The FSH, there we said LH, here it is FSH, follicular stimulating hormone, As the name suggests, it stimulates the formation of follicles. Like we said, the primary follicle, secondary follicle, Graafian follicle, tertiary follicle, okay, all this. So the follicle stimulating hormone secreted by the anterior lobe of the pituitary gland stimulates the ovarian follicle to secrete estrogen, and estrogen stimulates the proliferation of the endometrium of the uterine wall. So endometrium repair will be taking place. Endometrium becomes thicker by rapid cell multiplication, and this is accompanied by increase in uterine glands and blood vessels. So you can see in the diagram, let me expand that. Yes, you can see the second phase and the production of hormones also you can see. So the follicular phase where thickening of endometrium is shown, and then the third one is the ovarian phase. The third phase, you can see here the production of the LH surge we say, and then FSH is coming down, and also you can see the formation of follicular then, and once in the ovarian this phase, estrogen levels go up, and also so as the progesterone, but only the number of days you can see between 7th day to 14th day, proliferative phase we say. So this proliferative phase you can see the highest production of estrogen, and similarly highest production of LH, and in secretory phase you can see the highest production of progesterone. So this is how the hormones such as LH, FSH, estrogen and progesterone influence the formation of menstrual cycle. So we come to the ovulatory phase, third phase, and in this both LH, luteinizing hormone, follicular stimulator, attain peak level as I just now shown you in the middle of the cycle, that is roughly 14th day. Estrogen concentration in blood increases. Rapid secretion of LH induces rupturing of Graafian follicle and thereby release of ovum. So ovum gets functional ovum gets released because of the rapid secretion of luteinizing hormone. In fact, yeah, rightly said, LH causes ovulation. Again, this is one more question. What causes ovulation? Under what influence ovulation takes place? It is LH, luteinizing hormone, and comes to fourth phase. It includes the cycle days of 15 to 28, and corpus luteum secretes progesterone, and endometrium thickens again. Uterine glands become secretory, and further hormonal control. Just now we studied. Very important question it is. Hormonal control, normally it is a 5-mark question, so you must remember these 6 points. FSH stimulates the ovarian follicles to produce estrogen. LH stimulates corpus luteum to secrete progesterone. Menstrual phase is caused by the increased production of estrogens, and LH causes ovulation. Proliferative phase is caused by the increased production of estrogen, and secretory phase is caused by the increased production of progesterone. So increase. And finally, what is fertilization and implantation? The process of fusion of sperm with ovum is called fertilization. So during copulation or coitus, semen is released into the vagina. The motile sperms swim rapidly to reach the junction, I said just now, isthmus and ampulla. So ampullary isthmus junction, you can remember ampullary isthmus junction, AIJ. So let me write AIJ, ampullary isthmus junction. That is where the fertilization takes place, okay, of the fallopian tube. The ovum also reaches there, and fusion of gametes takes place. Ampullary isthmus junction. Again, this is a neat exam question. In this, acrosome of the sperm undergoes acrosomal reaction and releases certain sperm license which dissolve the egg envelopes locally and make the path for the penetration of the sperm. These sperm lysins contain a lysing enzyme, the one that breaks, okay? And the lysing enzyme is hyaluronidase, which dissolves the hyaluronic acid polymers in the intercellular spaces which holds the granulosa cells of corona radiata together. Corona penetrating enzyme that dissolves the corona radiata, and acrosin, which dissolves the zona pellicida. Then it dissolves the zona pellicida. Next, cortical reaction. Immediately after the entry of the sperm into the egg, the later shows a cortical reaction to check the entry of more sperms, because the fastest one will be fertilizing the egg. The remaining sperms will be checked. In this reaction, the cortical granules present beneath the egg's plasma membrane release chemical substance between the ooplasm and the plasma membrane, that is vitelline membrane. These substances raise the vitelline membrane above the egg surface. The elevated vitelline membrane is called fertilization membrane. The increased space between the ooplasm and fertilization membrane and the chemical present in it effectively check the entry of other sperms. This is the one. And if polyspermia occurs, that's more than one sperm entering the secondary oocyte, the resulting cell has too much genetic material to develop normally, but that doesn't happen. So here you can see the sperm, the fastest one entering it, and the cells of corona radiata and the functional ovum and perivitrilline space and zona pellicida. So the haploid gametes, because n number we said, sperm n number, ovum n number. So n plus n fuse together to form diploid zygote. So sperm is n, ovum is n, zygote is 2n. Okay. As the zygote moves towards the uterus, the mitotic division starts and form cleavage to change into 2-celled stage, 4-celled, 8-celled, 16-celled blastomeres. So the blastomeres with 8 to 16 cells are called morula. This is the first one. Morula divide to change into blastocyst. The blastomeres in the blastocyst are arranged in an outer layer called tropoblast, and the inner group of cells attached to tropoblast are called inner cell mass. The outer layer of blastocyst is called tropoplast that attach the endometrium of the uterus, and this is called implantation, and the implantation leads to pregnancy. And let's see what happens in the pregnancy and development. So the finger-like projections on tropoblast after implantation are called chronic villi that along with uterine wall forms functional unit, okay, between developing embryo and the placenta, maternal body, okay, that is a tube. Placenta is a tube connecting mother and the baby, and the placenta is attached with fetus, of course FOE, with an umbilical cord that transport. What is the purpose of placenta? To transport food and oxygen to growing embryo. Now hormones, HCG, human chronic gonadotropin, human placental lactogen and relaxin are produced in women only during pregnancy by placenta. So placenta also is secreting these hormones HCG, HPL and relaxin. After implantation, the inner cell mass embryo differentiates into outer layer called ectoderm, inner layer called endoderm, and in between there is a mesoderm soon appears between the ectoderm and endoderm. These three layers give rise to all tissues, all organs in adults. You remember triploblastic we say. It's important to note that inner cell mass contains certain cells called stem cells. This is the latest research. This is the boon for all the biologists, which have the potency to give. What is the use of stem cells? What is the significance? They have the potency to give rise to all the tissues and organs. So in future, it will be only stem cells. There is no need for any tablet or injection. You got stem cells, whatever organ, whatever tissue we lose during accidents, we'll get back, and that too a natural organ. In human, after 1 month of pregnancy, the embryo's heart is formed. Within 1 month, heart is formed. By the end of second month, limbs and digits are formed. By the end of 12 months, major organs and external genital organs are well developed. That means almost fourth month, fourth month, almost resolved. The first movement of fetus is observed in fifth month. By the end of 24 weeks, body is covered with fine hair, eyelids and lenses are formed. At the end of ninth month, fetus is fully developed and ready for the parturition. You must have seen all this in our biology lab. All the embryos are there. You must have observed them. And parturition now is the process of delivery of fully developed fetus. It's called parturition, separation of growing embryo from the mother. The signals for parturition originate from the fully developed fetus and placenta, inducing mild uterine contractions called fetal ejection reflex. So there will be mild movements. It triggers the release of oxytocin from the maternal pituitary. So oxytocin relaxes. The mammary glands of the female start producing milk to the end of the pregnancy by a process of lactation, milk production. The milk produced during the initial few days of lactation is called colostrum, and that contains it is very rich in antibodies. That's why it is a must that the babies should have the colostrum mixed milk. So this is the review of our chapter, and you can go through it once and note down all the technical words, write the answers, practice diagrams, and then post your doubts in our group.